The Kargil War, commonly referred to as the Kargil conflict, was an armed battle between India and Pakistan that happened in the Kargil district of Kashmir between May and July 1999. The line of control, which acts as the de facto border between the two countries, was breached by militants from Kashmir and military from Pakistan, starting the conflict. While Pakistan initially attributed all of the fighting to independent Kashmiri insurgents, later remarks by the Prime Minister and Chief of Army Staff of Pakistan revealed the involvement of Pakistani paramilitary forces. The conflict caused substantial logistical challenges for the opposing sides and is one of the most recent instances of high-altitude fighting in a mountainous environment following the development of nuclear weapons. This was the first ground conflict between the two nations. There had been a protracted period of relative quiet between the two neighbors following the Bangladesh Liberation War in 1971. However, in the 1990s, rising hostilities and the fight with Kashmiri separatists, as well as both nations' 1998 nuclear tests, altered the situation. In February 1999, both nations signed the Lahore Declaration to resolve the Kashmir dispute peacefully and bilaterally despite the hostile environment. The plans had been abandoned, though, for fear of inciting a full-scale conflict between the nations. Some observers claim that Pervez Musharraf's appointment as Chief of Army Staff in October 1998 resulted in the reactivation of the attack's blueprint. The then Prime Minister of Pakistan, Nawaz Sharif, has admitted that he was uninformed of the planning for the invasion until he received an urgent call from his Indian counterpart, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, informing him of the situation. Early in May 1999, the Pakistan Army made the decision to take over the roughly 130 Kargil stations and take control of the region. Troops from the Special Services Group and 4 to 7 Northern Light Infantry battalions. The first Indian assaults focused on gaining control of the hills that overlooked NH-1A, giving the sections of the road close to the town of Kargil top attention. Since the majority of the posts along the line of control were close to the road, the territorial gains and the security of the highway were both boosted by the recapture of practically every infiltrated post. When the United States learned that Pakistani nuclear warheads were being transferred closer to the border, the nature of the India-Pakistan conflict assumed a more ominous proportion. Nawaz Sharif, the prime leader of Pakistan, was warned by Bill Clinton not to play with the country's nuclear weapons. A White House representative reported that Sharif appeared to be genuinely astonished by this alleged missile movement and reacted by speculating that India was probably contemplating a similar action. This was then corroborated in a May 2000 story that claimed India has also prepared at least 5 nuclear-tipped ballistic missiles. The Indian stock market increased by more than 1,500 points following the conflict. Major increases in military spending were included in the ensuing Indian national budget. The Indian economy was robust from the end of the conflict until February 2000. There was a rise in patriotic sentiment, and many celebrities supported the Kargil cause. Indians were particularly incensed by the disputed circumstances surrounding the death of pilot Ajay Ahuja, especially after Indian authorities claimed that Pakistani troops had murdered Ahuja and dismembered his body. According to official Pakistani reports on the conflict, many people in Pakistan had predicted victory against the Indian military. Nonetheless, many were shocked by the course of events and wondered why the army eventually withdrew. The conflict demonstrated that, although a well-thought-out tactical strategy that included a surprise element, little analysis had been done to determine the political and diplomatic repercussions.